right, sounds
There
good.
you go. Kenny Pugh, I am thankful and I am grateful for you taking the time to express your heart, because I believe, as the author of Great Man, What Art Thou, that the purpose, one of the purpose out of many in the books, is that we hear the heart of our men. And oftentimes it becomes misconstrued and the words become convoluted when we're in a personal, intimate relationship.
Right,
And
right.
then that leads to ineffective communication, and that also leads to divorce.
Yeah.
So our divorce rate, particularly not alone amongst African Americans, but also people of faith,
Mm-hmm.
is too high.
Yep.
It's too high, and it hurts my heart to have broken relationships. So I know one of the major leading causes of that is our money.
Imagine that.
Can you imagine? Am I right or wrong? Help me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the just generally and annually and regularly a part of our top three, which include infidelity, as well as just general communication overall. So yeah, money is part of that package, and it's something that we need to work on.
And, it's sad, but in this generation that we have come to, we have a tendency to look to a man for how much money they make. What do they do? How can they take care of us? How can they wine and dine us? And we're looking for all the shallow things, as when most women do, and not really understanding your mind. So I know that this is not just an interview for me, but this is your passion. This is what you do as a living. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm a certified life coach, and I primarily focus in the areas of money, business, and relationships. So I think all of those kind of tie together in some form or fashion. But yeah, the relationships and money piece is definitely something that I've been dealing with since I got started, dealing with relationships, and then having the chance to write for blackenterprise.com. So yeah, it's definitely something that weighs heavily on me on a regular basis, and that will always be a part of who I am.
And let's not be remiss to say God has given you a great woman in your life, a great woman as your wife.
Absolutely.
So, you're not just doing it to be doing it, you're living it, in all areas and all spectrums. So, with that being said, talk about a man, his mind, and his money.
I mean, you said that like it was going to be a simple response there. So,
I just threw the ball in your court. You take it however you want to dribble it.
yeah. So from a man's perspective, I mean, we want to embrace a role. If we don't have an assignment, then we find ourselves struggling to find and live out our purpose. And so we always have to make sure, from a male's perspective, that we are walking out or pursuing some type of assignment that has been placed in our lives. And once we lose sight of the assignment, if we don't have our purpose in place, then we find ourselves struggling with our identity, and thus come some of the troubles and some of the mischief that we find ourselves getting into. So, just taking it back biblically, we want to be the priest, the provider, and the protector. And once we align with those things, it seems like life is so much better for us. But it's that whole provision piece that once it's not in alignment, there's some challenges in that area. It has the potential to disrupt other areas of our lives. And I've seen it play out in my life, even as a young man, and then seeing it play out in the lives of so many other men, whether they be young men, whether they be older men. If we cannot provide, don't have the monetary possessions to be able to support our queens, then we find ourselves struggling with our identity as well. So that's the man part of it. The mindset part of it is just that if we don't have anything that we can focus our energy on, then it becomes problematic. We don't have anything to work for. We don't feel like we have purpose. And then once again, we find ourselves in the midst of mischief, which oftentimes results in turbulent relationships with the women that we are interacting with, that we're dating, that we are married to, and that becomes very problematic as well. And so money is a very important component. It's not the sole component. It's not the focus. But if that thing is not in alignment, if we don't have the ability to provide for our queens and our households, it does have the ability to turn relationships and marriages upside down.
Kenny, you said a whole lot, and just like I said a whole lot with mind, money, and the money. but I want to go a little bit deeper. And I think that one of the things that we need to deal with in today's society is the truth and the realness of what we're facing.
Yeah.
For instance, and with, you said a lot, but I want to go with this one first. In today's society, many women are making money.
A lot of it.
A lot of women are making more money
Yep.
than the man.
Yep, absolutely.
Than the man. Now, I talk about in the book how we need to prepare for a great man in our lives, because it's a lot of unmarried, I don't like to call single, unmarried women that's believing God for a great man.
Mm-hmm.
So on this part, it's a flip-flop, because we used to want a man to take care of us, but now we got the money more so and the man don't have it. So we have to be very careful not to allow our money to become our controlling and dominating factor over a man. Speak to that right now and how you provide that consultation, because it's kind of out of order, and we got to be very conscious that even though I may make money as a woman, I'm still not the man.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting concept that you brought up. So many years ago, it was always the man that was providing for the family. And so we got so used to this whole, kind of hierarchy of things where the man was the head of the household. He brought in the money. The woman or the wife was at home taking care of the household. But we have seen that whole dynamic, that order flip. Yeah. And now we have a lot more women who are earning, very, very, very nice wages and
crazy money, Kitty.
Crazy money. And that's okay. And I don't think a man, once again, with purpose and in his mind and his understanding, I don't think that brings about any challenge. I think it's when the woman uses it to beat him over the head that it becomes a problem. So it used to be this whole thing about, well, I'm an independent. You notice how I got my neck.
You had to get your neck going.
that I'm an independent woman. And you know what? When you are unmarried, you are supposed to be independent, right? That's something that you're supposed to be able to take care of yourself. But when you come into union, when you come into purpose with your life partner, your spouse, your mate, then it becomes a joint purpose. It's not your money or his money, it's our money at that point. And so as long as we have that understanding going in that this is a partnership, that one is not going to be used to dominate the other one, that both people have equal footing in that marriage and relationship, and that you're going to make decisions together that's going to be in the best interest of the partnership, of that marriage. And I think that is so important and so powerful to communicate to everyone, is that it's not yours and mine, it's ours. And so if you go in with that mindset, you don't find yourself struggling to say, okay, well, I'll take care of it this time because it's my money, and you take care of this because you only make this much money. It's okay, we have this pot of money for our household. Let's make sure that we are faithful stewards over it.
Now, Kenny, you said a lot again. I'm going to keep it real. I think transparency is very important for us to learn from. And as leaders, we like to make it look good when we really got to deal with the real deal. Now, just based upon what you said, I was unmarried at one point before the book. I was unmarried, got married. I had those things. I had the money, the annuities, the stocks. I needed you at that time, and still going to need you as a financial consultant. However, I did get married, and I joined forces. I joined everything. And things begin to digress, and the man stole my money. He stole my money. Great man, where art thou? Great man, where art thou? Great man. I mean, and I talk about the book, A Good Man versus a Great Man, but, still taking those in our joint account, but taking that and not communicating, and then stole the money. And the last of it, I had to go and seek the face of God to become healed in that area. No unforgiveness, nothing like that. Yeah. However, there's a trust factor for many women, because we love, but then things happen to do what you're saying doing. And now we have to regain our life back again. Have you seen that take place? Have you were able to work with women like that and teach them from not only a money perspective, but even as a leader in the body of Christ, from a man's perspective, to bring healing to that woman?
Yeah, but I think it goes deeper than that. I mean, we talk about, we kind of focus on, in your case, the money piece. There was a breach of trust. There was a transgression that took place in the area of financial infidelity.
Financial infidelity. I like that. I like that.
But let's also just flip it. And I mean, when you talk about relationships overall, it's totally about vulnerability. It's about trusting someone with every area of your life. And so he took advantage of you financially. There'll be other people that are taken advantage of emotionally. There'll be other people that are taken advantage of physically, where, it's just the sex that's there. So I know it kind of has a shining light on it because it has monetary value. But the truth of the matter is, you have to be protected and trustworthy in the multiple areas of your life. And so, you got taken advantage of from that financial perspective, but there's a story that most people can share that have been taken advantage of in some area within their relationships. And it goes back to, once again, being able to build the total trust factor and then being vulnerable. I mean, being open to love doesn't mean that you're not going to be hurt. It just means that you are available for the right person when he or she comes along. And I think that's the important differentiation there, that we don't want to now, you've gone through that scenario that now you're going to block every future man from, having at least the opportunity to earn your trust in that particular area. I'm not saying that you grant that to them right off the bat, but you give them the opportunity to earn that trust in that area of your life. And so I think once you have that understanding, you can move forward, you can take those lessons learned, but then you're more in tune with the signs when they start to come across your eye gate that you're like, no, something ain't right. Let's go ahead and nip this in the bud right now.
And you know what? Thank you, because you spoke that very well. And that's why, although I have put myself in that position to be vulnerable, because even the word of God, I can't hold any trespasses, and I did not, and I shall not. And that is what birthed the book, Great Man, What Art Thou? That is what birthed the book, because it's not to put anything or anyone down, but to say, God, I'm still going to posture myself for that great man. I'm still going to uphold myself and my heart being pure. But I do believe there's no but. That's why we need to hear from men like you that can say, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable and trust again. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a part of building. Your words even affirm, confirm, and speak more healing. And I'm just adamant, we need that. We need you all's mind, not just your money. I want your money too, though, Kennedy.
Yeah, having money is a good thing because it allows you to do certain things. But once again, I think it's about being able to build that total trust package. And that includes your money, that includes your mind, that includes your body, that includes access to your family, the loved ones in your life. And so I think it's very important for us to embrace that trust factor, not just specific to money, even though that's an inclusive part of the total package. But we just have to be, open and learn the lessons and being able to identify the signs. It doesn't mean, once again, that you won't be hurt, but it does allow you to take those lessons to say, okay, hopefully I won't go through the same thing again, the same way that I went through it the first time or the second time. So the one thing about relationships, that as long as you're open, you'll always have another opportunity. It's a matter of whether you're willing to embrace it, whether you're willing to purge your past, so that no one has to, no one in your future has to pay for the people of your past, and to be open and allow that trust to be built. I keep saying built because I'm someone who has been hurt in the past, right? And so over a period of time, I said, when I meet you, we're going to start here, and then I'm going to allow that trust to be built. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of women typically are excited about the potential relationship, so the trust factor starts here, and you end up having to lose it.
There you go. You go.
Yeah. So I think that's something that, there's a difference between the man's mindset and the woman's mindset. Most of the time, men, we don't trust you right off the bat. We just say, okay, we start here.
Okay, let's talk about that. That's what I need to hear. Bingo. Ding, 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 ding. The trust, the difference between the man's mind and the woman's mind. Talk about the two distinctions, the differences, particularly going into a relationship. Because oftentimes we're trying to make the man's mind be our mind. Am I right?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting, once again, because of the way we have been programmed, the way we've been fed, that, that growing up, the ladies are always working towards this aspiration of this perfect picture, whereas guys, we kind of just haphazardly wander along life until we decide we want to get married. And so that's not usually one of our focal points until we mature, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
Right,
Even
right.
though I'm noticing that that's not necessarily the case. But the truth of the matter is, it's important for you to realize that, this audience primarily being women, is that guys, we're not going to necessarily be doing cartwheels entering relationships, because we're not programmed to really appreciate and seek those things out early on. That's something we kind of bump into along the journey of our lives. We realize, and I shared this in a workshop that I did, that guys, once we wake up, once we are awake, we realize that we need a woman, because it brings stability to our lives. It brings the ability to carry out a greater purpose than we can in and of ourselves. And it gives us a chance to leave legacies for our children's children. And I think those things are important for us to realize. But a lot of times we don't realize that until later on in life. We just go through the process of seeking out and conquering. And once we've conquered your heart, your mind, and your body, it's like, okay, well, I never really wanted a relationship anyway, so I'm on to the next conquest, right? And so that's where it gets a little bit more interesting, because I think women enter the relationship thinking that this might be happily ever after, whereas the guy is entering in a relationship thinking about, okay, how quickly am I going to be able to conquer this particular experience, and then what's next. And I share the story quite often about the guys that I used to surround myself with in the interview and just kind of listen in on. There's no conquest like a new conquest. And so no matter how much money you have, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how good the sex is to us, that once that experience has been reached, if we're not in it for a long-term relationship, we're on to the next, because there's no conquest like a new conquest. And that's why you see so many men, they can have the most beautiful, most successful, woman on their arm, but the fact that they weren't in it for the long-term relationship, they're on to the next conquest, because that energy brings about the excitement, it brings about the chase. And once we go through that chase, and once you have that, that energy built up, it becomes contagious. It becomes something that you want to pursue on a regular basis. And that's something that, until you wake up and mature, you see guys, I don't care who you are, whether you're from the West Coast, the East Coast, the South, the Midwest, you see guys going through similar patterns, because we have not been trained in the area of desiring long-term stable relationships. And so we just go out to have fun, to conquest, to have our conquest, and then we're on to the new experience, because the new experience brings about the rush, the change, the adrenaline that we want, and we had no intention of making you our happily ever after.
It's kind of like they go on a pussy crack, like crack cocaine.
Right.
I'm excuse me. You know what I'm saying? It's like crack. I need more. But Kitty, I coach a plethora of women, and I always tell women, a man can't do no more than you allow. And in this day and hour, we're just giving it away like it's a turkey on Thanksgiving. We got it on the platter. You know what I'm saying? And women have become the hunters. Women have become the pursuers of just giving you all. They trying to get you all to have sex with them. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Y'all don't even have to approach them no more. And I think that that's such a distorted perversion, because we're trying to get you with our bodies to get to your money, to get to your mind, and it just doesn't work. I did know about you, and you recently got married, and you as a man decided, and correct me if I'm wrong, to be celibate before marriage. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you could have been on that quest too.
Well, I'll be honest, I was on that quest. That's how I lived it. That's why I can speak from both sides of the aisle, because I was in that mix of seeking and conquering. And so I know that mindset. I know that chase, because I was surrounded by guys who did it, and we did it, and we plotted. And we approached it in that particular manner. But then I flipped sides and said, okay, I'm going to cut this piece off. And even in the midst of cutting that piece off, there was still the option and gift wrap on the platter if I wanted it, even after consciously making that decision, because there was this mindset that if I gave him my body, I will ultimately lead to his mind. And I think that's, once again, the difference between the mind of a man and the mind of a woman, is that guys, we want to feed you things into your ears, into your heart, so that we can get your body, and hopefully, that's the conquest for us. Whereas women are, let me, offer the body because I think that'll give me access to his heart and his mind.
Yeah.
But it's a conflict. It's a butting of the heads, because the motives are impure, no matter what side of that equation that you're on. And it's important for you to realize, hey, if I intend to have a long-term, stable, healthy relationship, we got to think beyond the cat and mouse of how we're going to connect, but we have to think more in alignment with what we're going to do to interview each other, to see what are our synergies and being able to carry out long-term purpose with one another. And once you look more towards the topic of purpose, joint purpose, life purpose, things in common, things that we can accomplish together, it leads to a better outcome, which is why so many people find themselves happier when they marry their best friend, because you have synergies, you have purpose, you have a common cause, you have loyalty, you have respect for one another, you have compassion for one another. And that can't be taught in the form of a sexual experience. That can't be taught in the form of manipulation of any kind. And so you either have it or you don't, but you can't give yourself away to everyone who's a potential option, because otherwise you begin to build up this defense mechanism. You begin to cheapen yourself. You begin to have distorted emotions around that whole topic of relationships. And it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that you are approaching relationships the wrong way. And if you deprogram yourself and build yourself back up, thinking about long-term purpose, friendship, synergies, and purpose, all of that stuff kind of falls in place. And you can disqualify people a lot quicker with your legs closed and with your pants up if you're a guy. I was able to disqualify people so much quicker over a cup of coffee. After a couple of days, I'd be like, I don't see this person as a long-term part of my life. Could be drop dead gorgeous. My hormones could be raging out of control. But the fact that I deprogrammed that side of my life, saying, okay, I need to think with the right mindset. It
with
made
the right head and not the other head.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was able to, it made life a lot easier. I could disqualify people. And once again, the role of a man is not to contaminate the life of a woman. We want to make sure that we keep you intact for the person that God has for you ultimately. And so if you think about it from that perspective, I think we'll have a lot more healthy relationships and friendships, and people that can amicably interact with one another, not because they have taken advantage of one another.
I like what you said. The role of a man is not to contaminate the life of a woman. That is so profound. That is so profound. You need to teach on that, Kenny. I think I may have to just for you to teach on that. I'm so serious because it's so much power in just in that statement. In my book, I talked about just what you're talking about, not as profound and prolific as you just stated, but I alluded to how we need that solid friendship before we can get into the relationship, and the sex does convolute that you can't have that friendship. So when you were using the right head that's on your neck, how did women respond to you? Because I have come to learn and understand that a lot of women get upset when men don't take them for that beautiful prize of sexual intercourse. Did they challenge you? Did they get mad? What was those experiences like?
I mean, it was like it was hurtful for me. It was an ego thing for me. It was a very prideful thing for me early on, because I did get challenged. I did get, called, you must be gay because you don't want to sleep with me, or you must be gay, or, the groups of women would be like, well, you must be gay because you didn't want to sleep with so-and-so. And that was very hurtful because, it's like I'm trying to do the right thing. But and still, when I'm trying to do the right thing, I get ridiculed. If you do the wrong thing, you still get ridiculed. So it's kind of a no-win situation if you're thinking in terms of trying to gain the approval of other people. But when it came down to it, it was just like, okay, you have to kind of block out that noise and say, you know what, I'm still a man. I still operate as a man. I still feel as a man. I still have the hormones of a man. But I'm just choosing not to capitalize on those things because I don't want to, once again, contaminate somebody else's future wife just for my temporary
Yes.
thrills, my temporary experience, my temporary release. And so once again, you know, you kind of grow through that. I mean, I think as I built my platform and people started understanding that, I stopped attracting people who, you know, were in it for, well, I'm just going to try to, you know, see if I can break him. I began to attract stronger people around me. I began to repel those people that had impure motives. And I think it's one of those things that, once again, if you begin to have an aura about yourself, you'll start to attract the type of people that you want to be surrounded by.
I'm going to make a statement that my mother used to say, an old wise statement from a great woman. You got to go through muddy water to get to dry land.
Mm-hmm.
You went through all the muddy water and you came to a dry land called your queen. As a great man, standing for truth, standing and going through this, how did you know that she was the great woman for you?
You know, that's a popular question. So she and I met at a workplace. She and I worked for the same company, and so I was able to observe her. I was able to observe her behaviors, her heart, and at that time I couldn't date her because that would have been a breach of the contract code of conduct within that company. But it was one of those things where I was able to observe her. And I think one of the things that really captured my heart is her compassion towards other people and her ability to interact and show kindness to others. Those were some of the big things that attracted me to her. She's a beautiful woman, and so that was a given, that I was physically attracted to her, but just also being able to see how she treated, you know, the admin people, how she treated the people that would greet people coming into the office building, how she greeted just kind of the janitor walking around the floor. That was very key to me. And so the ability to be able to interact with people that might not be on the same level as you was very important. And I think that was one of the things that attracted me to her even more. And then to see her community service, how she serves women who have gone through domestic violence, and just her getting involved in their stories and they're helping them out of their situations was so attractive to me. I was like, man, you just don't know how that made my engine run, you know, and we're trying to be celibate, but that was very, very attractive to me. And so just to kind of hit back on your question, so I knew early on that she had a long-term potential, and it was just a matter of confirming whether we had some of those synergies in place. So when I dated her with a purpose. It wasn't
Dated her with intention.
Yeah. So I didn't have any ulterior motives other than to figure out whether or not she was going to be my wife, or whether, you know, we were going to, you know, identify that wasn't the case sooner rather than later. And I think, and I struggle when people have situations where they've been interacting with someone for so many years, that if there's a question about whether or not that person wants to marry you, I would say then you are almost serving as a bookmark until they find the other person that will continue writing the rest of the chapters of their book. So I oftentimes encourage people, if you've been in these long-term relationships that don't seem to be going anywhere, you want to remove yourself, because otherwise you're serving as the bookmark. And truth be told, when that person finds a person that they truly want to be with, then you're going to be expendable anyway. And the other piece of the puzzle is you don't want to be somebody's default fallback because they were out trying to sow their oats, and you just happened to be there when they landed and came crashing back down. So you gotta want more for yourself, and I think that's something that can be determined sooner rather than later. So you have to be honest with yourself as you're going through that process. And for me, I was honest in saying, okay, I'm dating with a purpose. I identified that she and I had long-term potential, and with that being the case, I embraced it. And so I was very direct. I was like, I want to be in a relationship with you. I want to, you know, pursue you for marriage. And so that's how we attacked it. We stayed under.
So you can't. So when you let me clarify, not just for you, but make it general for the audience. So I have wrote what you're saying. I wrote a lot about that in the book, about how a man observes. He observes your character. He observes, he watch what you does. You know, I call it a test. You know what I'm saying? How you're stepping back. So when you was making these observations, you was in the cut. Am I right? You know what I'm saying? You were kind of like, she was just being herself. La, 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 just doing her. You know what I'm saying? But you would, you know, your eye, it caught your eye, and you was in the cut, and you was like, you know, you was making your private observations. Am I correct?
That's correct. And I used to call myself a professional bird watcher, because that's what I would talk about on my radio show. I'd be like, I'm a bird watcher. You never know who is watching you.
You never know who's watching you. Yeah. So men observe things, great men, not just, you know, I think all men observe things, but it goes back to what you're saying, your motives. So a good man have motives of like, yeah, I want to hit that. I want to hit that. You know, that's not what we're talking about. A great man has a vision. He has a mission. You know, he has a purpose. So your observation is different, because you're observing the things that can, it could be an asset to your life. You don't want anyone who has lack of godly character. You know what I'm saying? Because that can taint your mission and your vision. You don't want someone who is saying, okay, she's just flirting with the janitor. You know what I'm saying? And got her boobs out. You know what I mean? Because she's just trying to get laid with the janitor. So she control the janitor. You know, you saw how she carried herself in a manner that was befitting to a queen. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, you didn't go make no announcement. She just doing her. So when you came to the point that you wanted to come and step to her, you already knew you had intentions of your pursuit. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And so did you tell her this out the gate, that this is something that you want to pursue her for, or you still let some time go to hear her heart?
I initially, you know, early on, it was purely platonic. It was, let's go grab some coffee, let's talk. And, you know, through that conversation, it just really confirmed the things that were present in the back of my mind. And so, no, I didn't come out of the gate with this spooky, I've been watching you, and, you know, that sort of thing. But it was like, okay, as time progressed, I'll say, you know, no, I did have my eye on you. You know, I was, you know, very attracted to how you interacted and treated other people, despite, you know, their responses to you still were cordial. And so as time unfolded, I was able to share those things with her. But that goes back to the difference between men and women as well, is that a lot of times we will internalize things within our heart. And it takes an environment of trust, once again, for us to begin to unpeel the layers of our lives and expose those to the people that we want to get close to. And so that's another thing that I think differentiates us from one another, men and women, is that a lot of times guys are going to be closed up. And that's why you hear, you know, the things such as, you know, men don't communicate. Yeah, we do communicate. Have you been a part of a sports bar? Have you seen us on at the gym? Have you seen us out in public doing, you know, things that we enjoy? Yeah, we communicate very well. So you gotta kind of clarify that and say, you know, that environment hasn't been set right for him to open up to me. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I encourage women to try to identify what is the environment that will make your man open up for you, or he might not even trust you enough to even be, you know, go down that path. And if that's something that's the case, then you have to identify that early on as well, so that you can, you know, make a decision on which direction you want to go.
You know what, Kenny, listening to you, you are a great educator. And I know that you educate as it relates to finances and things like that, because that's an intricate part of any relationship. That's very huge, you know. Mm-hmm. But I really want our viewers to hear your heart as it relates to not just being a financial person, but the mind that you possess. That if a woman, no matter what status she's in as far as money, she can have goo gobs and she could have little. Are you an ability to be able to serve a range of population? Because I believe that people need to contact you, not to just say, ooh, your money is tied into your emotions, am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your spiritual beliefs, you know what I'm saying? Your own mindset of how you perceive yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if they would just get that consultation You know, I'm the type of person, I'm an entrepreneur and I do a lot of networking, but I tell people I can't do business with everyone because I do business with who you are, not what you have.
Right. Absolutely.
Who you are. I will come to you, and I am going to come to you because it's the who you are. Your mind can help gear me as a woman to even know how to posture my money as I posture and position myself. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, you're preaching over there.
You know, and I think that we don't take the time to really get ourselves together, but yet we want God to bless us.
Mm-hmm. And I tell the story sometimes that it really doesn't, it's not about money. And I think that is such a cliche statement that I made, but the truth of the matter is, like, I was dating early on. I was dating someone who made roughly $350,000, $375,000 a year. And so if it was all about money, then I would have found myself with her, but it was at the wrong time. The timing wasn't right. And my mindset towards long-term healthy relationships wasn't in the same position as it was that it is now, and as it was when I got serious about pursuing my wife. And so once again, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your red bottoms look like. It doesn't matter what your hourglass figure looks like. If the person is not in the right mindset, it's going to be all for naught. So you want to get to the core of the matter, the heart of the matter, so that you can identify whether that person should have the opportunity to learn about you from a long-term perspective. Just because someone submits a resume for a position does not mean you have to hire them. Doesn't mean you have to interview them.
Oh, you can say that again.
Yeah, you can observe the characteristics and decide whether or not they're worthy of the interview.
In order to be able to be the woman that you are describing, as though how you were describing your wife, and I think all women need to operate in that way of our own uniqueness. You know what I'm saying? In our own way. And I pray that many women pursue emotional healing, you know, that we can really, and that's what I talk about in the book, because, you know, my coaching is emotional healing, but because I want to see women more prepared for great men like you. You all are not just going to settle for anything. You could easily get a good man. They out here dime a dozen, just like you could have had a good woman. You know what I'm saying? She made $375,000, you know, but you know, she did this, did that, but did she really care about the people? Did she really care about the hearts of people? Did she know how to treat the janitor without trying to bounce on the janitor and control the janitor, and the janitor trying to come up? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I believe that even though a man might not have himself together, but if we stay in the posture of who we are, it will put that man back in the presence of God. A man is designed to pursue God, to get in the presence of God. Am I correct?
Yeah, and I think it's important for you to keep doing the work that you're doing, and know that there are guys on the other side, like myself and some of my other counterparts, that are working to try to untangle the mindsets of some of the guys that are out there. They're good guys. They're genuinely good guys. Their mindsets haven't been made in sync or aligned with the thought processes of long-term healthy relationships and why they are important. And so while we're out there doing that work, I think it's important for the ladies to not get discouraged, because I mean, it's easy to get discouraged when you see other people around you, you know, supposedly thriving or getting what they want, and you to become envious of those things. But the reality of the matter is, I think we are in a time of trying to untangle what's wrong, and I think we yet you know, hit the core of that. But there are people out there that are connected, that are married to the wrong person, and it's because it was built on faulty foundation. It wasn't the core essence of what relationships should be built upon. And so as these things get untangled, the people that are wrong, married to the wrong people, are going to be released, so their mindsets can be healed, so that they can be repositioned, right? So that they can be repositioned to connect with the person that God ultimately wanted them to be connected to, or, you know, positioned them to be connected to as well. So I think that's important, to not lose heart, because it's so very easy to lose heart, lose faith, to become jealous, to become envious. But the truth of the matter is, when you believe that what God has for you is for you, that you can truly embrace that, but don't get caught up on what's going on around you, but continue to cultivate that which is going on inside of you. And I think those are two important things to keep in mind.
Mm, 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 mm. I'm so glad I'm recording this. I'm gonna sit back and look at this myself. You know, you know, Kenny, I respect you and I honor you for taking a stand to change your own mind, to change your thinking. Just take the light bulb, the light switch, and just turn it off and turn it back on to where God really wants your mind to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm asking you to, you know, this is not just an interview to be having an interview or a quick fix, because there are no quick fixes. As you stated, it has become tangled, and it's really like a wicker. If you think of a wicker chair, how it's just so enmeshed and intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our term in the Bible, wicked, come from. Our minds have been just so twisted and intertwined through our past, our victimizations, even as a Black people, still from the residue of slavery. You know what I mean? So much where we're causing each other to suffer in relationships that is not a conscious thing of it. It's a subconscious. It's the things that are repressed in our mind and in our heart and our soul that I believe God wants to heal. So, you know, even after this interview and we go on and continue to do what we do, I ask that you would just really join me on a platform that I'm going to create, because I believe that we need to educate, and we need to talk and hear the hearts of God's people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm totally on board. I mean, of course, we wouldn't even be here if I didn't, you know, see you as a powerful and wholehearted and compassionate and sincere person. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to come on and share thoughts with you as well as the audience.
Well, I'm going to, you know, since the last time I saw you, when you were featured in the magazine, you know, you've been married since then, and God has transitioned me here. I'll be in Atlanta. I'll be residing there, and I'll be doing some things there. So I've gotten closer to my destiny. And I believe that you are a part of that, and I'm a part of yours. And you can't have success by yourself. You know what I mean? You have to have that. And I think that we all want money, but we have to understand the true richness of the relationships that we're in and the purpose of it.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Thank you so very much that you agree. People will be coming your way, because it's not just about what you do from a professional standpoint. It's about who you are. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You got a great work to do, and you are positioned properly. You got your queen. She stands with you. She undergirds you. The best is yet to come, and that's not a cliche.
Amen. I receive it.
That is not a cliche. Anything, please, just, they're listening to this interview right now, and I don't believe in procrastination. Procrastination is a robber, and it's a thief, and it is nothing but the devil. You know,
yep.
They say, I need this. Don't wait for D. Don't wait for us to create this platform. How can they get in contact with you for a consultation of getting their money together?
Well, thanks once again for the opportunity. A lot of times, you know, I'm all over the place. So meaning that you can find me on social media, you can Google me, you can do all those things. The best place to reach me is via my website, kennypugh.com, KENNYPUGH.com. And there you'll have access to my social media channels. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm all over the place. So to reach out to me and just go into my website, that's a great place to start. Mm-hmm. I have great articles out there about love, about money, about relationships, about business, about you know, getting your life together, and just kind of really dealing with the whole person. I think that's one of the things that I've been called to do, is to help people become whole in every area of their lives, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and socially. And I think a lot of times we underestimate those different aspects of our lives. You can be pretty, but you could be ugly on the inside. You can be wealthy, but you can be spiritually disconnected. You could be, connected in so many other ways, but you're not social. You're not fun to be around. And so I try to work with people, both men and women, to help address those different areas. And so if you're interested in that, go to my website, contact me. We can get you started on one of my programs, or we can start off with a consultation to get started. So thanks a lot.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I'm going to be in touch because I am rebuilding my life. I'm so serious at the wonderful, tender, young age of 53. You know what I'm saying? I am rebuilding my life. And Kenny, I am so excited about it. I'm very excited about it. I'm building a legacy. As you know, my daughter, she has taken over. You know what I'm saying? And that was my whole intent. I told her she got 10 more years before she fired me. You know what I mean? But I don't know if I'm going to last that long, Kenny, because she's doing it, But that was my whole goal. That was the whole modus operandi for me doing what I'm doing, that I could just be able to do and be what God wants me to be for millennials, for people to become educated. So I will be in contact with you because I can submit to you. The Bible says submit to one another. And I want you to show me how to rebuild this from a financial standpoint. I'm not dumb, but I believe I still need some more knowledge. How about that? And I think that, we may have investments, but we also need to keep up with the latest. We need to keep up. You just don't invest your money and say, "Oh, I've invested it." No, there's more and more strategies and more things out there that we don't know. Am I correct?
That's correct. Making sure that you're taking care of your money and making your money work for you, making your giving your money an assignment. I think when you have your get so settled in and not allowing your money to have an assignment, that's when it starts getting dispersed in unproductive locations.
Well, I have 2 assignments for the rest of my life, and that is to take care of my money and my great man.
Do it.
God is getting ready to send both of them just like that. And you're going to be like, dang, that's D. Collins. The kids are grown. I am not Sarah. You know what I'm saying? But I got many sons and daughters. But that's where it is. Thank you, Kenny. I look forward to speaking with you, and I will be in touch, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right.
All right.